Alright, everyone. This is my last take on Let's Play a Game of Spin the Wheel. Alright, welcome back. Welcome to episode 1 of Let's Play a Game of Spin the Wheel. In this episode, we are going to imagine what it would be like if Sony Wonder releases of Sesame Street also used PBS Kids idents in addition to the ARFA releases that used them. Back in 2000, Sony Wonder releases started using PBS Kids idents. They stopped using PBS Kids idents on ARFA releases after May 10th, 2005. Now let's imagine that Sesame Street releases from Sony Wonder would also start using PBS Kids idents starting in 2000 and continuing to be used until 2007. First, we will start with the 2000 releases of Sesame Street. Now, the 2000 releases of Sesame Street will only use the first two PBS Kids idents. Anyway, the first Sesame Street release from 2000 is Elmo's World, Dancing, Music, and More, released on VHS on February 1st, 2000, and on DVD on October 30th, 2001. And it contains 3 Season 1 episodes of Elmo's World, which are dancing, music, and books. On top of that, Dancing, Music, and More is the only Elmo's World release with 3 episodes to feature the original version of the Elmo's World theme song from 1998, where it has Elmo walking past his drawer, his closet door, and his goldfish Dorothy, and then going over to his window shade to draw a curtain, and then Elmo pulls the curtain down. Now, let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident will be used on Elmo's World, Dancing, Music, and Books. Okay. The wheel has chosen that Elmo's World Dancing, Music, and Books will use the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident. Now, just like with the ARFA releases, we'll have the Sesame Street releases use those PBS Kids idents at the end of the program. At the end of the Sesame Street release, just like with the ARFA releases that also had them at the end. So, Elmo's World Dancing, Music, and Books will have the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident at the end according to the wheel. I'm also drinking water while I'm recording this because I just finished my workout. And the next release from 2000 is Cinder Elmo, released on February 29th, 2000 on both VHS and DVD. And now let's spin the wheel, and it's going to decide which PBS Kids ident will be used on Cinder Elmo. Okay, the wheel has decided that Cinder Elmo is going to use the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident at the end as well, just like with Dancing, Music, and Books, or Dancing, Music, and More, or however you want to call it. There were no Sesame Street VHS releases released on March 21st, 2000. There were, however, two Arthur releases released on VHS that had the 1999 PBS Kids dot ident at the end, and they were Arthur's Famous Friends and Arthur Goes to Hollywood. And Arthur's Famous Friends and Arthur Goes to Hollywood also got a DVD re-release on January 14th, 2003. Or technically a DVD release on January 14th, 2003. Now, the third Sesame Street release from 2000 is Elmo's World, Babies, Dogs, and More, which was released on VHS on May 2nd, 2000, and on DVD on May 14th, 2002. And Babies, Dogs, and More contains free Season 2 episodes of Elmo's World, which are Babies, Dogs, and Farms, and Babies, Dogs, and More is also the first release to feature the updated version of the Elmo's World intro from 2000, where it has Elmo drawing on his drawer, which bounces. He then goes over to walk past his goldfish Dorothy, his drawer, and then goes over to the closet door, which starts to shake, and then the TV appears, briefly dancing with Elmo as he walks over to his window shade. Now, let's spin the wheel, and the wheel will pick which PBS Kids ident will appear on Elmo's World, Babies, Dogs, and More. Okay, so the wheel has decided that Elmo's World, Babies, Dogs, and More will also use the 1999 PBS Kids dash ident at the end. Now, the next release of Sesame Street is released on July 18th, 2000, and it's called Let's Make Music. Released on July 18th, 2000 on VHS and on DVD on January 14th, 2003. Now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident will appear on Sesame Street's Let's Make Music. Alright, and the wheel has chosen that Sesame Street Let's Make Music will be the first Sesame Street release to use the 1999 PBS Kids dot ident. On August 1st, 2000, there were no Sesame Street VHS or DVD releases, but Sony Wonder released an Arthur release called Arthur's Scary Stories on August 1st, 2000 on VHS and on DVD July 16th, 2002. And Arthur's Scary Stories had the 1999 PBS Kids dot ident at the end. Now we'll go into the September 12th, 2000 VHS releases of Sesame Street, which are both Elmo's World VHS releases, which are Singing, Drawing, and More, and Flowers, Bananas, and More. Both of them were released on September 12th, 2000 on VHS, and they got DVD releases on May 14th, 2002. Singing, Drawing, and More contains 3 Season 2 episodes of Elmo's World, which are Singing, Drawing, and Telephones. And Flowers, Bananas, and More also contains 3 Season 2 episodes, which are Flowers, Plants, and Trees, Bananas, and Hair. Let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on. Let's start with Singing, Drawing, and More first. So let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident will appear on Elmo's World, Singing, Drawing, and More. According to the wheel decided to have the 1999 PBS Kids dash ident appear at the end of Elmo's World, Singing, Drawing, and More. Now, let's spin the wheel, and the wheel is going to decide which PBS Kids ident should appear at the end of Elmo's World, Flowers, Bananas, and More. Wow, look at that. The wheel also decided to have the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident appear at the end of Elmo's World, Flowers, Bananas, and More. So that means both of the September 12, 2000 releases will have the Dash ident at the end. Those were all the 2000 releases, and now we get to the 2001 releases. Starting with Elmo's Musical Adventure, The Story of Peter and the Wolf. And like the 2000 releases, which just had the first two PBS Kids idents from 1999, this will also apply with the 2001 releases, meaning the 2001 releases will also just have the first two PBS Kids idents. Now, the first release from 2001 is Elmo's Musical Adventure, The Story of Peter and the Wolf, released on January 9th, 2001, on both VHS and DVD. And let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident would appear on Elmo's Musical Adventure, The Story of Peter and the Wolf. According to the wheel has decided that Elmo's Musical Adventure, The Story of Peter and the Wolf, will also have the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident at the end. 3 weeks later, on January 30th, 2001, there were no Sesame Street releases released on January 30th, 2001, but there were two Arthur VHS releases that also had the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident at the end, and they were Arthur's Storybook and Arthur's Mystery Files. The next Sesame Street release from 2001 is Elmo's Magic Cookbook, which I believe was released on March 13th, 2001 on VHS, and it got a DVD release on August 3rd, 2004. Let's spin the wheel, and it's going to decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Elmo's Magic Cookbook. Alright. According to the wheel, it has decided that Elmo's Magic Cookbook will also use the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident at the end. Now, the next Sesame Street release from 2001 is an Elmo's World release called Birthdays, Games, and More, released on VHS on May 15th, 2001, and on DVD on May 14th, 2002. And Birthdays, Games, and More contains 3 Season 3 episodes of Elmo's World, which are Birthdays, Games, and Pets. And now, let's spin the wheel, and it's going to decide which PBS Kids ident will appear on Elmo's World, Birthdays, Games, and More. Okay. Now, according to the wheel has decided that Elmo's World, Birthdays, Games, and More will have the 1999 PBS Kids Dot ident appear at the end for the second time since Sesame Street Let's Make Music. The next release on September 11, 2001, there were 2 Arthur releases that also had the 1999 PBS Kids Dot ident that I mentioned, which are Arthur Goes to the Doctor and Arthur's Best School Days. The next Sesame Street release from 2001 is Kids' Favorite Songs 2, released on VHS and DVD October 30th, 2001. Now, let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Kids' Favorite Songs 2. Okay, the wheel has decided that Kids' Favorite Songs 2 will have the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident at the end. Now, the last Sesame Street release from 2001 is Elmo's World Wild Wild West, which was released on VHS and DVD November 6, 2001, although some sources say that the VHS was released on September 11th, 2001, which Elmo's World Wild Wild West is an interesting release because it was released in 2001, but it has the Season 4 design of Elmo's World. This could mean that Elmo's World Wild Wild West was produced during Season 33 of Sesame Street, but because Elmo's World Wild Wild West was completed earlier, they decided to release it early enough to be released in 2001. Now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Elmo's World Wild Wild West. Okay, the wheel has decided that Elmo's World Wild Wild West will also use the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident at the end. Man, the Dash ident is quite common for those Sony Wonder releases of Sesame Street that the wheel chose. Stay tuned for the next part, which will look at the 2002 to 2003 releases, which beginning in 2002, they'll start using all 6 PBS Kids idents. Alright, everyone. Welcome to part 2 of Let's Play a Game of Spin the Wheel, in which we will continue imagining what it would be like if PBS Kids idents were used on Sesame Street releases from Sony Wonder. For this part, we will cover the Sony Wonder releases of Sesame Street from 2002 to 2003. So, the first release of Sesame Street from 2002 is Sesame Street's Computer Caper, released on February 12, 2002, which contains a bonus Elmo's World episode called Computers, which is a Season 3 episode of Elmo's World, as a special bonus. Now, I'm only counting DVDs of Sesame Street that were originally previously released on VHS 2000 or later with PBS Kids idents. As DVD re-releases of VHS releases released before 2000 will not have PBS Kids idents at all, and DVD re-releases of previous VHS releases released between 2000 and 2001 will only have the first 2 PBS Kids idents. But here, we're looking at all new 2000 releases from 2002 and later that will have all 6 of them. Since I already mentioned what Computer Caper has, like as a bonus, now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Sesame Street's Computer Caper. Get ready for it. Okay. The wheel decided that Sesame Street's Computer Caper will be the first ever Sesame Street release to feature the 2000 PBS Kids Dot transformation ident at the end. The next 2002 release is Elmo's World Springtime Fun, released on February 12, 2002 on VHS and DVD as well, containing 3 Season 3 episodes of Elmo's World, Birds, Bugs, and Bicycles. Now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident will appear on Elmo's World Springtime Fun. Okay. According to the wheel has decided that Elmo's World Springtime Fun will also have the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident at the end. Now, we'll go into Elmo's World Wake Up with Elmo, released on May 14th, 2002, on both VHS and DVD, containing 2 Season 4 episodes and 1 Season 3 episode. It's got Sleep, Getting Dressed, and Teeth. Sleep and Getting Dressed are from Season 4, while Teeth is a Season 3 episode. Now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Elmo's World Wake Up with Elmo. Okay. The wheel has chosen that Elmo's World Wake Up with Elmo will have the 1999 PBS Kids dash ident at the end. So yeah, Elmo's World Wake Up with Elmo will have the 1999 PBS Kids dash ident at the end, according to what the wheel says. Now, on June 11th, 2002, there were 2 Arthur releases, The Good Sport and Arthur's Great Summer. And they also re-released Arthur Goes to the Doctor and Arthur's Best School Days on DVD that same day, which were previously released on VHS in September 2001. But The Good Sport and Arthur's Great Summer were both released on DVD and VHS on June 11, 2002. Arthur's Best School Days and Arthur's Goes to the Doctor had the dot ident intact from the VHS release, intact on the DVD as well. But The Good Sport had the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident at the end. Arthur the Good Sport had the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident at the end, while Arthur's Great Summer had no PBS Kids ident at the end at all. Also on June 11, 2002, they released a Sesame Street release called Bert and Ernie's Wordplay. Now, let's have the wheel decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Bert and Ernie's Wordplay. According to the wheel has decided that Bert and Ernie's Wordplay will be the very first Sesame Street release to feature the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident at the end. Now the next Sesame Street release is Elmo Visits the Firehouse, released on September 3rd, 2002, which contains a bonus Elmo's World episode called Firefighters. Now what's interesting is that the Elmo's World Firefighters episode was released on VHS and DVD first before airing on television. The Elmo's World Firefighters episode was first released on VHS and DVD in September 2002 on Elmo Visits the Firehouse, and then later aired on television in April of 2003 during season 34 of Sesame Street, which means that this was a season 4 episode pushed back to season 34 of Sesame Street, even though most season 4 episodes of Elmo's World aired when season 33 of Sesame Street was airing, and most season 34 episodes of Sesame Street had Elmo's World episodes from season 5, but Elmo's World Firefighters is an exception. Now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Elmo Visits the Firehouse. Wow! Look at that. The Wheel has decided that Elmo Visits the Firehouse will be the first Sesame Street release to ever use the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident at the end. So yes, the Wheel chose the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident for Elmo Visits the Firehouse. Pretty cool. Now for September 24th, 2002 release, Elmo's World Happy Holidays. Arthur's Perfect Christmas and Arthur's Celebration were also released on September 24th, 2002 on DVD, and they were previously released on VHS in 2000 and 2001 respectively, and they had no PBS Kids ident at all. And Elmo's World Happy Holidays is what I call a Season 4 special, since it was released in 2002 and aired on PBS in December 2002. So that's why I call it Season 4. Now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Elmo's World Happy Holidays. Alright, the wheel has decided that Elmo's World Happy Holidays will use the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident at the end. And on October 1st, 2002, Sony Wonder released Arthur, It's Only Rock and Roll on VHS and DVD. And Arthur, It's Only Rock and Roll used the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident, both on TV airings and on the VHS and DVD releases of Arthur, It's Only Rock and Roll. Now we get to the January 14th, 2003 releases, which on January 14th, 2003, they released two new Arthur VHS and DVD releases, Arthur's Snow Day and Arthur's Family Fun, that both had the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident at the end, and re-released Arthur's Famous Friends and Arthur Goes to Hollywood, which had the 1999 PBS Kids dot ident intact from the respective 2000 VHS releases. And also on January 14th, 2003, they released an Elmo's World VHS and DVD release called Head to Toe with Elmo. Which, Head to Toe with Elmo has 3 Season 1 episodes of Elmo's World: jackets, hats, and shoes. Now, what's very odd about Head to Toe with Elmo is that even though all 3 of the episodes on Head to Toe with Elmo are all from Season 1, Head to Toe with Elmo incorrectly uses the updated version of the Elmo's World theme from 2000 for some bizarre reason. And now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Elmo's World Head to Toe with Elmo. Okay, according to the wheel has chosen that Head to Toe with Elmo will use the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident at the end. On March 4th, 2003, they released Zoe's Dance Moves on VHS and DVD. And now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Zoe's Dance Moves. According to the wheel decided that Zoe's Dance Moves will be the very first release to use the 2000 PBS Kids Dash transformation ident at the end. Okay. Next up are the June 3rd, 2003 releases. On June 3rd, 2003, Sony Wonder released Elmo's World: The Great Outdoors to VHS and DVD, containing 2 Season 4 episodes and 1 Season 5 episode, Wild Animals, Fish, and Weather. Wild Animals is a Season 5 episode, and Fish and Weather are Season 4 episodes. And now, let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Elmo's World: The Great Outdoors. According to the wheel, it has decided that Elmo's World: The Great Outdoors will use the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident at the end. But this time, Elmo's World: The Great Outdoors and other Sony Wonder releases from 2003 to 2005 that have the Snow Globe ident, or 2003 to 2006, depending on how you look at it, will not have the URL. Unlike the 2002 releases, which did have the URL for that and the Fishbowl ident. And the Fishbowl ident will not have the URL either for the 2003 to 2006 releases, just so you know. On June 10th, 2003, there were no Sesame Street releases, but there were 4 ARFA releases that all had the 2000 PBS Kids Dash transformation ident at the end, and they were Arthur's Tasty Treats, Arthur's Best Friends, Arthur's Baby, and Arthur Writes a Story. And yeah. Now we get to the August 5th, 2003 releases, which there are 2 of them. Sesame Sings Karaoke and Free Bears and a New Baby. First, we're going to start with Sesame Sings Karaoke and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Sesame Sings Karaoke. Let the wheel decide. According to the wheel has decided that Sesame Sings Karaoke will use the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident at the end. Now let's spin the wheel, and the wheel is going to decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Sesame Street: Free Bears and a New Baby. Look at that. The wheel decided that Sesame Street: Free Bears and a New Baby will also have the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident at the end. Now, on September 2nd, 2003, there were no Sesame Street releases on DVD or VHS, but there was a Sesame Street CD called Songs from the Street 35 Years of Music, I think it's called. And Sony Wonder released 4 ARFA releases on September 2nd, 2003 on DVD and VHS. Arthur Gets Spooked, Arthur Cracks the Case, Arthur's Teacher Trouble, and Arthur's Pet Business. Arthur Gets Spooked and Arthur Cracks the Case had the 2000 PBS Kids Dot transformation ident, while Arthur's Teacher Trouble and Arthur's Pet Business had the Dash transformation counterpart. Now that was part 2. Stay tuned for part 3. Alright everyone, welcome to part 3 of Let's Play a Game of Spin the Wheel, which we will continue imagining what it would be like if Sony Wonder releases of Sesame Street ever used PBS Kids idents. Now for this part, we'll look at the releases from 2004 to 2005. And here we go. The first release from 2004 is an Elmo's World release from January 27, 2004, called Elmo Has Two Hands, Ears, and Feet, containing 3 episodes. One season 3 episode called Hands, one season 5 episode called Ears, and one season 6 episode called Feet. So this Elmo's Has Two Hands, Ears, and Feet marks the earliest release to have a season 6 episode of Elmo's World. And oddly enough, the Feet episode of Elmo's World aired in December 2003 during a rerun of episode 4048, while the other season 6 episodes aired in 2004 during season 35 of Sesame Street. So this could mean that Elmo's World Feet was intended to air in 2004 during season 35, but they accidentally aired it 4 months earlier in December 2003 during a rerun of episode 4048 from season 34. Now, also on January 27, 2004, there were Arthur releases released on the same day, which were Arthur's Pet Follies, Arthur Saves the Day, Arthur's Lost Library Book, and Arthur Makes the Team. Nearly all of the January 27, 2004 releases of Arthur had the 2000 PBS Kids Dash transformation ident at the end, except for Arthur's Pet Follies, which uses the dot transformation counterpart. But now let's spin the wheel, and it is going to decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Elmo Has Two Hands, Ears, and Feet. Okay, according to the wheel, it has decided that Elmo Has Two Hands, Ears, and Feet will have the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident at the end. Now, on February 3rd, or I think February 10th, 2004, I should say, they released Big Bird in China and Big Bird in Japan on VHS and DVD, and they redubbed all of Brian Muell's lines for Telemonster and replaced his voice with Martin P. Robinson's Telemonster voice. So as a result, I will include PBS Kids idents for Big Bird in China and Big Bird in Japan. First, we'll spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Big Bird in China. All right. The wheel has decided that Big Bird in China will have the 1999 PBS Kids dot ident. Now, let's have the wheel decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Big Bird in Japan. Look at that. Big Bird in Japan, according to the wheel, Big Bird in Japan will have the Dash counterpart from 1999. Now we go into a release from April 6, 2004 called Sesame Street, What's the Name of That Song? Which was released on April 6, 2004, 2 days after season 35 of Sesame Street premiered. And it was released in 2004 to honor 35 years of Sesame Street for Sesame Street's 35th anniversary at the time. Now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Sesame Street. What's the name of that song? Okay, according to the wheel has decided that Sesame Street, What's the Name of That Song, will use the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident, except it does not say pbskids.org, unlike the 2002 releases, which will. Now on June 8th, 2004, there were 4 ARFA releases and 1 Elmo's World release. The ARFA releases on June 8, 2004 were Parents Are From Pluto, DW Thinks Big, Arthur's Eyes, and Arthur's Family Vacation. Nearly all of the June 8, 2004 releases of Arthur had the 2000 PBS Kids Dash transformation ident at the end, except for Arthur's Eyes, which had the dot transformation counterpart. And Elmo's World Family's Mail and Bath Time was also released on June 8, 2004, and Family's Mail and Bath Time also has... And Elmo's World Family's Mail and Bath Time has 3 episodes. Families from Season 3, Mail from Season 5, and Bath Time from Season 6. Now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Elmo's World, Family's Mail, and Bath Time. According to the wheel has decided that Elmo's World, Family's Mail, and Bath Time will use the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident. And on August 3rd, 2004, there were 4 ARFA releases that all had the 2000 PBS Kids Dash transformation ident on them. And they were Arthur's Double Dare, Arthur's School of Hard Knocks, Arthur's New Puppy, and Arthur's First Sleepover. And also on August 3rd, 2004, there were 2 Sesame Street releases and 1 Sesame Street re-release. The re-release being Elmo's Magic Cookbook, which will have the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident intact. And the 2 new releases of Sesame Street at the time, which are A Magical Halloween Adventure and Elmo's World, The Street We Live On. First, we'll do A Magical Halloween Adventure, and we'll decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on A Magical Halloween Adventure. ...2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident for A Magical Halloween Adventure. And now it's time for Elmo's World, The Street We Live On. TV airings of The Street We Live On had the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident. Except for the DVD version, which will have the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident on it. Actually, you know what? This is A Magical Halloween Adventure, which uses the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident. The previous one will be The Street We Live On, which that one will have the Fishbowl ident. Like the TV airings. So this is a magical Halloween adventure, and it will use the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident at the end. The previous one is The Street We Live On, with the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident at the end. My mistake. So, The Street We Live On will have the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident, and a magical Halloween adventure will have the Dash one from 1999. Now we get into an August 31st, 2004 release called A Celebration of Me, Grover. And now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on A Magical Halloween Adventure. On A Celebration of Me, Grover, excuse me. Let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on A Celebration of Me, Grover. (2002) PBS Kids Fishbowl ident for A Magical Halloween Adventure for A Celebration of Me, Grover. And on October 5th, 2004, there were no Sesame Street releases, but there was 4 Arthur releases that all had the 2000 PBS Kids Dash transformation at the end, which were Arthur's Music Medley, Arthur's Terrible Teasers, Arthur's Chicken Pox, and DW's Blanky. All right. Now we get to the 2005 releases. On February 1st, 2005, there were 4 Arthur releases: Arthur's Money Matters, The Big Riddle, Arthur's Treasure Hunt, and Arthur's Tooth. Arthur's Money Matters and Arthur's Treasure Hunt both had the full-length version of the 2000 PBS Kids Dash transformation ident, where you see Dash in his usual caveman and scuba diver form before he becomes a robot, like normal. Arthur the Big Riddle had an abridged version of the 2000 PBS Kids Dash transformation ident, where it just faded in at Dash in robot form, and Arthur's Tooth had the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident make a surprise appearance. Now, for Happy Healthy Monsters, released on February 1st, 2005, Sesame Street Happy Healthy Monsters, that was released on February 1st, 2005, I'll have the wheel decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Sesame Street Happy Healthy Monsters. Okay, according to the wheel, Sesame Street Happy Healthy Monsters, the wheel has decided Sesame Street Happy Healthy Monsters will use the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident.
James, here is your reminder. Your break is over. James, here is your reminder. Your break is over.
Never mind that, folks. That was just my Alexa. According to the wheel has decided that Sesame Street Happy Healthy Monsters will use the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident at the end. Which is interesting because on Arthur's Tooth, it uses the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident, which fades in and out and says pbskids.org. But for Sesame Street Happy Monsters, or Happy Healthy Monsters, on the other hand, will use the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident that cuts in and out and does not say pbskids.org. And on May 10th, 2005, there were 4 Arthur releases and 1 Elmo's World release. And The Arthur releases on May 10th, 2005 were You Are Arthur, Arthur Goes Crosswire, Arthur Goes on a Field Trip, and Arthur Makes a Movie. You Are Arthur and Arthur Goes Crosswire had the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident at the end, and Arthur Makes a Movie and Arthur Goes on a Field Trip had the dash transformation counterpart. On May 10, 2005, they also released an Elmo's World release called Elmo's World Food, Water, and Exercise, which contains 2 Season 1 episodes and 1 Season 2 episode. Food and Water are from Season 1, and Exercise is from Season 2, which means this is one of the 2 Sesame Street releases where you get to see 2 different designs of Elmo's World. In Season 1, the design of Elmo's World in Season 1 looks rather pale, and it does not have the fish poster next to the door or the tree poster next to the window shade at all. Not to mention, the door, drawer, shade, and TV look significantly different compared to the later seasons, whereas Seasons 2 and onward have the fish poster next to the door and the tree poster next to the shade added on, and the door, drawer, shade, and TV were given a more colorful makeover with way more saturation in later seasons. Now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Elmo's World Food, Water, and Exercise. Okay, the wheel has chosen that Elmo's World Food, Water, and Exercise will use the 1999 PBS Kids dash ident at the end. Now we'll get to the... Now, on June 14, 2005, there were no Sesame Street releases, and the Arthur releases, DW Rides Again, Arthur's Computer Adventure, DW the Picky Eater, and Arthur Gets Lost, no longer had PBS Kids idents. And on August 2nd, 2005, Sony Wonder released the DVDs of Arthur's First Crush and Nerves of Steel, along with 2 Sesame Street releases, Friends to the Rescue and All-Star Alphabet. Now, let's spin the wheel for Friends to the Rescue first and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Friends to the Rescue, which are the Hurricane episodes of Sesame Street from Season 32. Alright. The wheel decided that Friends to the Rescue will use the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident at the end. Even though the actual episodes only had the 1999 dot or dash ident on TV airing since they were from Season 32, and they didn't use the dash transformation, dot transformation, fishbowl, or snow globe idents until Season 33. Now, let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on All-Star Alphabet. Okay, according to the wheel chose All-Star Alphabet to use the 2000 PBS Kids dash transformation ident. And now one more 2005 release, Elmo Visits the Doctor, released on VHS and DVD on October 3rd, 2000, or October 4th, 2005, which contains the Doctors episode of Elmo's World as a bonus. Now, what's interesting about it is that Elmo's World Doctors is another episode that was released on VHS and DVD first, before airing on television. First, it was released first Elmo's World Doctors was released on the VHS and DVD of Elmo Visits the Doctor on October 4th, 2005, and then it later aired on television in August 2006 during season 37 of Sesame Street, which means that Elmo's World Doctors is a season 7 episode of Elmo's World that was pushed back to season 37 of Sesame Street, even though most season 7 episodes of Elmo's World aired during season 36 of Sesame Street, and most season 37 episodes of Sesame Street had season 8 episodes of Elmo's World. Now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Elmo Visits the Doctor. Okay, according to the wheel decided that Elmo Visits the Doctor will use the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident at the end. Only one more part left. Alright everyone, now we're on to the final part, which we will cover the 2006 to 2007 releases of Sesame Street. The first Sesame Street released in 2006 is Elmo's World Reach for the Sky, released on January 31st, 2006. And Reach for the Sky contains one season 4 episode and 2 season 7 episodes. Jumping and School are from season 7, and Sky is from season 4. Now, although The Street We Live On was a TV episode that had the late 2003 version of the Elmo's World intro, it wouldn't be until Reach for the Sky when the late 2003 version of the intro becomes more common on every release. So Reach for the Sky would be the first one to use the late 2003 version of the Elmo's World intro on every release. So the late 2003 version of the intro is basically a more enhanced version of the 2000 intro, where the drawer, door, shade, and TV are now more CGI animated compared to the 2000 version where it was traditional 2D animation. And on The Street We Live On, it had newer sound effects in the late 2003 intro, whereas on Reach for the Sky and other Elmo's World releases, the older sound effects from the 2000 intro were used in the late 2003 intro. Now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Elmo's World Reach for the Sky. Okay, according to the wheel, it has decided that Elmo's World Reach for the Sky will use the 2000 PBS Kids Dash transformation ident at the end. On April 3rd, 2006, there were 2 ARFA releases, ARFA's Club Rules and ARFA Rides the Bandwagon, and there was a Sesame Beginnings release, but we won't include those. So we'll go straight to June 6, 2006, which there were 2 ARFA releases, The Boy with His Head in the Clouds and ARFA's Big Hit. And the Sesame Street release, released on June 6, 2006, is Guess That Shape and Color. Now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Guess That Shape and Color. Alright, according to the wheel, The wheel has decided that Guess That Sheep in Color will use the 2000 PBS Kids Dash transformation ident. And now we get into an August 1st, 2006 release called Elmo's World Pets, released on August 1st, 2006, containing 3 episodes. 1 season 2 episode, 1 season 3 episode, and 1 season 7 episode. Dogs is a season 2 episode previously released on Elmo's World Babies, Dogs, and More. Cats is a brand new episode from season 7, and Pets is a season 3 episode previously released on Elmo's World Birthdays, Games, and More. Not to mention, Pets is actually the first episode, and then Dogs comes next, and then Cats is the last one. Let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Elmo's World Pets. According to the wheel, Elmo's World Pets will use the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident at the end, and this will mark the return of the PBS Kids Fishbowl ident saying pbskids.org since 2002 on Sesame Street. And on August 22nd, 2006, they also released Elmo's Potty Time on VHS and DVD, with Elmo's Potty Time being the very last VHS release. Now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Elmo's Potty Time. According to the wheel, Elmo's Potty Time will use the 1999 PBS Kids Dash ident. Now we get into and Elmo's Potty Time is also the last Sesame Street release to feature the 1995 Sony Wonder Ribbon logo on the packaging. And Sesame Beginnings Exploring Together is the last release in general to have the 1995 Sony Wonder logo on the packaging as well. However, it does make a surprise appearance on the TV episode Fun Pack volumes at the beginning, even though the Bouncing Sun logo is on the packaging. Now we get into a November 14th, 2006 release called A Sesame Street Christmas Carol, which is the first ever release to feature the 2006 Sony Wonder Bouncing Sun logo on the packaging and on the screen. Now let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on A Sesame Street Christmas Carol. According to the wheel, it has decided that A Sesame Street Christmas Carol will use the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident. Now, on February 6, 2007, there was an Elmo's World DVD release called What Makes You Happy, containing 3 episodes, 1 from Season 1, 1 from Season 2, and 1 from Season 8. Friends is a new episode from Season 8. Singing is a Season 2 episode previously released on Elmo's World Singing, Drawing, and More. And Dancing is a Season 1 episode previously released on Elmo's World Dancing, Music, and Books, of course. Now, let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on Elmo's World What Makes You Happy. According to the wheel has decided that Elmo's World What Makes You Happy will use the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident. You know what? Maybe A Sesame Street Christmas Carol have an idea. We'll have a Sesame Street Christmas Carol used a 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident, and What Makes You Happy used a dot transformation ident at the end to balance it out. So now, a Sesame Street Christmas Carol will use the 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident, and which will say pbskids.org for the first time beginning in 2002, and since 2002. So a Sesame Street Christmas Carol will be the first time since 2002 that it will say pbskids.org in the PBS Kids Snow Globe ident, and a Sesame Street Christmas Carol will use a 2002 PBS Kids Snow Globe ident, while Elmo's World What Makes You Happy will use the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident, just to make it better. Now for the TV episode Fun Pack releases, Volume 1 and Volume 2, which mark a surprise return of the Sony Wonder Ribbon logo at the beginning, although What Makes You Happy and A Sesame Street Christmas Carol both had the bouncing sun logo at the beginning. Starting with TV episode Fun Pack Volume 1, Disc 1, The Letter of the Month Club, which TV airings of the Letter of the Month Club had the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident at the end, but let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on the Letter of the Month Club on TV episode Fun Pack Volume 1, Disc 1. Okay, so according to the wheel, the Letter of the Month Club will use the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident on TV episode Fun Pack Volume 1, Disc 1. And now let's go to Furry Red Monster Parade, which is TV episode Fun Pack Volume 1, Disc 2, and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on that one. (2000) PBS Kids dot transformation ident. And actually, you know what? We will have the Letter of the Month Club on TV episode Fun Pack Volume 1, Disc 1, used the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident, while the Furry Red Monster Parade will use the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident. The Letter of the Month Club contains the male episode of Elmo's World from Season 5, and Furry Red Monster Parade will use the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident. The Letter of the Month Club uses the Elmo's World Season 5 episode male, and the Furry Red Monster Parade uses the feed episode of Elmo's World with severely out of sync sound effects in the Elmo's World intro, and feed is from Season 6. And so yeah, we will have the Letter of the Month Club use the 2000 PBS Kids dot transformation ident, and the Furry Red Monster Parade use the 2002 PBS Kids Fishbowl ident. We're almost done. Now with TV episode Fun Pack Volume 2. And Disc 1 of TV episode Fun Pack Volume 2 has Abby Cadabby Moves to Sesame Street, containing the debut of the Friends episode of Elmo's World from Season 8. Disc 2 of TV episode Fun Pack Volume 2 has Elmo and the Seven Dwarfs, containing the debut of the Penguins episode of Elmo's World from Season 8. And Elmo and Zoe's Scientific Exploration is on TV episode Fun Pack Volume 2, Disc 3, and that contains the Flowers, Plants, and Trees episode of Elmo's World from Season 2. Now let's do one disc at a time. Let's spin the wheel, and the wheel is going to decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on TV episode Fun Pack Volume 1, Disc 1, also known as Abby Cadabby Moves to Sesame Street. Okay, the wheel has decided that TV episode Fun Pack Volume 1, containing Abby Cadabby Moves to Sesame Street, will use that TV episode Fun Pack Volume 2, Disc 1, containing Abby Cadabby Moves to Sesame Street, will use the 2000 PBS Kids Dot transformation ident at the end. Now for Disc 2, Elmo and the Seven Dwarfs will spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids event should appear on TV episode Fun Pack Volume 2, Disc 2, Elmo and the Seven Dwarfs. According to the wheel has decided that TV episode Fun Pack Volume 2, Disc 2, containing Elmo and the Seven Dwarfs, will use the 1999 PBS Kids Dot ident at the end. And last but not least, let's spin the wheel and decide which PBS Kids ident should appear on TV episode Fun Pack Volume 3, Disc 3, containing Elmo and Zoe's Scientific Exploration. According to the wheel has decided that the 1999 PBS Kids Dot ident will also appear on Disc 3 of TV episode Fun Pack Volume 2, Elmo and Zoe's Scientific Exploration. Well, that's it, everybody. This is the finalized take on this. I will not make any more of this because it'll be a big waste of time, but I hope you enjoyed it while it lasted.